So a quick update from us. For any of those of you who aren't aware of what the accessibility team are, we're a community-driven led group of people, either developers, non-developers, whose focus is to essentially improve accessibility in the Umbraco back office in general as a whole. We started about this time last year, 13 months ago. There we go, working out slides. Reason why, interesting stat, 1 in 5 people have some form of disability. This is a stat from the UK Gov website. It could be visual, it could be hearing impaired, it could be permanent, it could be temporary. You know, you could be with a, lost your sight, or you could be holding a child, not having full access to your hands. You could be drunk. There are lots of things that count as a disability that's impairing your normal function. So it's important to make Umbraco, the back office, as accessible to anyone in any circumstance, just because it makes it easier to use. And it's not just about those people who have some form of disability. If you have a more accessible website in general, the user experience will be improved for everyone, regardless of ability. So it's a better, more accessible Umbraco is a better Umbraco for everyone. Another thing to consider is, I keep clicking the wrong keyboard. By 2025, in the EU at least, commercial websites within the EU will need to comply to a 2.1 level 2 accessibility standard. This includes Umbraco. So in the UK, I think, depending on where we go with Brexit and whatnot, we'll probably have to comply to some form of standards as well. So it's not something, it's one of those sad things where you'd hope you shouldn't have to encourage people to make their websites more accessible. But oftentimes you do. We're all aware that sometimes budget is an issue, but eventually it's going to be a legal requirement. So it's worth thinking about sooner rather than later.
Sometimes it's also a matter of coding habits. One of my pet peeves is you see a lot of, for instance, in the Umbraco back office, you'll see a lot of ng-click event handlers attached to non-interactive elements where it would be appropriate to use a button because that's what a button is for. But there's some, I think, the reason why some people don't do it is because then they might have to do a little bit of styling to remove the default button styles, so it's easier to use a div instead, for instance. But you can come a long way with a little change like that. Yeah.
Cool. So progress. So over the last year, since we sort of started this group, we've had 3 audits carried out on the Umbraco back office, thanks to Daniel Lancaster, recent MVP, who on 3 occasions now has gone through the entire of the back office, created initially, some of you may have seen in the GitHub issues, a huge ticket containing a big table of about 151 accessibility issues that has since sort of evolved into a Trello board. This time last year, we set a challenge to submit 5 accessibility-related pull requests to Umbraco before Code Garden. I think when it got to Code Garden, we've managed around 16, and now we've reached 134 tickets that have been merged into core. So it's been a lot of great progress. And these are all the people so far who have, I don't have all of their actual names, these are their GitHub names, but we've had a lot of people who've been getting involved and have made a big difference already. I mean, if you compared the first version of Umbraco 8 compared to the current one, you notice a massive difference. Obviously not just in accessibility, but accessibility has improved quite a lot. This is the Trello board. So the 3rd audit that Danny did, he spent a lot of time putting this fantastic Trello board together, which is available. I think it's in the kind of contributions Trello board as well. You can link to it. There's a lot of tickets in there. Some are fairly simple to get started. Some you may look at thinking, oh, this could be an easy thing to fix. you dig a little deeper and it's, a week-long thing to sort out. But that's all part of the learning experience. Anyone can get involved. There's no barrier to entry other than knowledge. And if you don't know, we're all here to help you out. If you've got any questions, please just ask anyone in the team. There's a channel in the Umbraco Slack channel on Twitter. There is an Umbraco Twitter accessibility account, which I haven't put in these slides because I hastily put together these slides last night after seeing the Unicorn team having very nice slides. I think this might be the last slide I've got as well. Yeah. So I could probably stop sharing these for the time being. So yeah, that's our progress so far. We're still cracking on bit by bit. It's really cool seeing the work that Jack's done with the Cypress tests. We're having had a meeting the other night, and we're planning on trying to update some of those tests to include some accessibility related tests as well, so it can help catch any instances where we have fixed something in the back office, someone makes a change who maybe simply be unaware of certain semantics around accessibility, and it will create another issue again. So we'll try and nip those in the bud if we can, and just make it easy as well for people to contribute. Some of these tickets are as simple as changing an anchor tag to a button tag or changing a div to a button. Some are obviously much more complicated, and encourage anyone to get involved if they want to. And even if you're not too aware of a lot of accessibility stuff, it's a good place to get started. Again, we're here to help out. I don't know if anyone else wants to include anything extra. I've kind of just been rambling because I've not been prepared at all.
I'd like to say, the reason I joined the accessibility team was to learn. I don't really know anything about accessibility stuff, but I have learned a lot. I've still managed to do PRs. So when we say that there's no barrier to entry, we mean it, because I am that person who knows nothing.
And you don't have to be a developer. Like I said, Danny's not a developer, he's a tester. He's really helped. Without him, we wouldn't have made anywhere near the progress we've done so far. So, even if it's a case of testing some bugs or seeing if you spot anything, I know that Danny uses NVDA, which is a open source screen reader. I think it's sponsored by Mozilla. But it's a really good tool if you want to learn about screen readers, see how they work. It's a really good thing to do.
I've been using NVDA when I was testing some accessibility pull requests, and it's actually something that I'd say developers should just have a go, because to hear what your site looks like to somebody with a visual impairment is a real shock. It's really it's quite illuminating. I think, Matt, you said something similar. The first time you use a screen reader, it's like, oh wow, okay. So
yeah, it's overpowering.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, I've seen Leonie Watson, who's I'm not sure if she's 100% blind, but she is sight impaired, and she also uses a screen reader. And I've seen her do a talk because I was thinking, okay, I'm doing this wrong, because surely this screen reader shouldn't talk all the time whenever I do something. But it's the same for her, and she's doing it like 3 times the speed.
It's incredible to see her talk.
Yeah.
I think Matt Walshy said to me, and it's really stayed with me, that being able-bodied is a temporary state. Was that the saying?
Yeah, I think I originally got that from Rachel, who got it from somewhere else, but I can't remember where.
Yeah, but when you look at it like that, it really is, because we are a young trade in many ways.
Yeah.
And so it's something to consider, because we will want to be using our own technology 40 years from now.
I have an issue with some of the subtle hover effects that are in the back office. So if you navigate the sections, there is a subtle hover on some of the menu items. I can hardly see them. I'm red-green colorblind.
Wow.
So red and green colors, if they're right next to each other, I have a difficult time differentiating them at some point. Not like I can't see red and green, I can. And a lot of men have this condition. So I can't be a pilot, which I'm really sad about because I want to fly now.
but red and green are used often for very important things, like green for go and red for stop. So it's crazy that those are the things, the colours, considering like red, green, colourblind I think for men, it's relatively common, like for in terms of impairment of some kind. And but it's the fact that we use red and green, it's like, but that's such a common thing. Why has that become like good UX? And I know it's not just digital, because red and green, traffic lights have been around a long time. But yeah, it's crazy. I read it's just over here. I'll maybe post a link to it. I read a book recently about accessibility for digital, and it is. I think some of the good examples you gave, Mike, was like, because it's not always just so they were saying like a disability in terms of being able to use your arm or your hand to be able to use a device. It might be permanent, or it might be that you've broken your arm, so it's temporary, or it might be you're holding a kid and it's a different kind of temporary. It's like, it's situational. So it's like making sure that your site is accessible for for as many people as possible in different situations. It's not necessarily just because of a disability.
I displaced my collarbone a few years ago, and this arm I was having to use my other hand to move for about 2 weeks. So I was left-handed for about a month or two, and learning how to use Umbraco with tabs made things a lot easier. It was still tricky because we hadn't done a lot of the fixes back then. But it's mad, you don't expect it. If has anyone else ever broken an arm or fractured a finger or something silly, it's
my arthritis has been fun when the hands don't work.
Sometimes when I'm trying to multitask, when I'm holding Ida, I only have one hand available, and then it's really nice to be able to tap around things. So something that also amazes me is like, I'll enter a name in the chat now, and I think you should all Google it, because this lady, Haben Jirma, she's deafblind, and she's a lawyer, and I've seen Microsoft have been using her in some of their pushes for making accessible and inclusive stuff. And I'm just amazed how able she actually is when she's able to use the right tools.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like she's deaf-blind, but I'm pretty sure I've seen her like have a conversation. And how do you do that when you can't hear what the other person is saying and you can't see the mimics? And that's really inspiring, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to get involved, please do. Another thing, if you want to get involved but you're not sure how you can help out from a development point of view or from a testing point of view, you could do things like donate to the NVDA screen reader. They're sort of open source, but they have people working on it. You can donate to that. Again, just ask questions if you're curious. I think that's about us
awesome.
done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can we have a candid contributions code patch clap for the accessibility team?